For the last 40 years, they've had a redundancy in place because this is an ever-changing industry. You know, it went to better types of printing, more automated types of printing. There's always redundancies going through this industry. Now they don't even train printers anymore. There's no such thing as a printer trade anymore, right? So this is a dying industry. And the way he's kept it for retention is to make sure there's been a good redundancy at the back, so people are hanging in there, because when it does close down, they're going to be able to retire decently, or they're going to have enough money to retrain themselves so they can get a new job.
I'm here with Tony and Gary. Tony's from the ETU and Gary's with AMW. We're standing out front of the 7 West Media Corporation of WA. And gentlemen, there's a little bit of an issue where you've got the Fat Cat standing behind you. What's going on?
We're trying to get a deal organised with the management. We've been, for the last month or so, we've been locked out. Negotiations are broken down from the management perspective because they keep forcing their proposal down our throats, and our boys just won't accept it because it's a bad deal. It cuts their pays, conditions, and the company won't accept that it does that, and they won't negotiate.
And when did all this start?
Well, this is probably our original agreement finished in 2020. So normally we sit down and have a meetings with the company, and we thrash out an agreement, probably 6 months duration, and we're all back on par again. But in this case scenario, this management has decided that they got better ideas, and we've been probably negotiating for the last 18 months, probably
2.5 years.
2.5 years now.
We always apply 90 days before the end of the agreement to start negotiating again and to try and get a new agreement up ready for the old one expiring. So we put in this time to try and negotiate with them from October 2019. So we are now 2.5 years in of negotiating. The management on many occasions have just point blank refused to negotiate. That was one of the reasons that we had a stop work meeting. But the stop work meeting was what ended up bringing this on. So we followed all the legal procedures through Fair Work, applied for protected industrial action. We decided to have 2 weeks before Christmas, to have one 4-hour stop work meeting. We had that one 4-hour stop work meeting, and the company's response to that was to lock us out for 3 days on the week running up to Christmas. We then managed to get them to lift the lockout, and we sat and tried to negotiate with them for 5 days straight on the week of Christmas. Couldn't get couldn't get anything that was worth putting to the group. But then we had another 5-day sit down with them after New Year, and at the end of that 5-day sit down, the manager, because he wanted to put a gagging order on all of us reps and everything on site, to say that we couldn't go in and speak to our members and just try and explain to them in detail this sort of garbage that they're trying to ram down our neck. So after that, what he ended up doing was he basically just locked us all back out again. And so now we've been locked out now for 38 days without pay. And all we've done is have one 4-hour stop work meeting, and they've locked us out for 38 days without pay.
And just off camera, you were telling me that you went through all the correct procedures for the stop work. Tell me a little bit about the preparation you did to make sure you did all this lawfully.
So what you have to do is you have to get the backing of all the members on site. So we have to have mass meetings with 3 or 4 different mass meetings to cover all the different shifts across different days. Speak to as many people as we can, and then we do what they call a protected action ballot, which has to be run by Electoral Commission. Actually have to run it, and so they run it. So we got the action ballot up, and that allowed us to take some sort of protective action. So all we thought, well, we're not going to go be doing anything stupid and anything crazy, so we just said we'll have a 4-hour stop work meeting, because this is a 24/7 workplace. So to try and get everybody in the one time is very, very difficult. So the best idea, we thought, would be 4-hour stop work meeting out here, and get everybody, those that aren't on shift, everybody here as much as we can, and we can speak to them. So we had that conversation. When we went to go back in, the company had brought in a mob of security guards and basically locked everybody out.
See, the purpose of that protective action was to try and get the company back to the table, because we, like Gary was saying, for a period of time, the company wasn't basically shut up shop, and people need pay rises, people need security. So we were sort of forced into this protected action. We did all what was asked of us, and at the 11th hour, basically we were locked out. So, and we've been locked out ever since, and we've been held to ransom to sign a deal that's just really bad. It's really, really bad.
We had some meetings that only lasted 3 or 4 minutes with management. We'd walk in, we'd sit down, all ready to start negotiating like adults. And they don't want to act like adults. And they would just turn around and say, are you willing to just get rid of your redundancy agreement? And we were like, no, the people don't want to get rid of the redundancy agreement. The manager, Phil O'Toole, would just stand up, shut his book and storm out the door. That was it. And that's not the action of that. This is the Chief Operating Officer of 7 West Media. I mean, he's acting like a child.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
All we want is some people in management or higher up that we can negotiate with to come out with a settlement.
Yep.
That's all we're after, is some sort of deal. But we just seem to be at loggerheads with this guy. He's not budging, he's not moving, and this is where we are at the moment.
So I understand that you're not getting pay rises, and they're trying to slash your redundancy agreement. What other kind of impacts are you having on your enterprise workplace agreements?
He wants to cut our sick leave, and in time of a pandemic coming in, he wants to cut our sick leave. You know what I mean? I mean, we actually said, well, we'll agree to modify the sick leave, but can you bring in some sort of COVID leave? So if somebody has to isolate or test, point blank, no, not even interested. We've even been asking them for a COVID policy for months, and they still won't give us a COVID policy. So this is a multi-billion-dollar company, and they won't give you like a COVID policy. I mean, IGA's got a bloody COVID policy. So it's just ridiculous. I've never seen a management like this, ever.
So to what extent is he trying to cut your sick leave?
So we have it's been an old thing that's ran down for years, where we have a certain amount of full day sick leave, and then we have half day and then quarter day sick leave. So if you're long-term sick, say you've got a terminal disease or something, there's some sort of payment come in, and employees ourselves, we put in our own self-managed fund to help that, and we've used it over the years to help out a lot of people that have been seriously illness and stuff like that. He wants to get rid of pretty much all of that and take us back to what they call the NES, which is 10 days sick leave a year. You know what I mean? We work 24/7. It's all 12-hour shifts. I mean, we don't get public holidays. We work Christmas days and everything like that. They want to cut what they pay us if we have to work Christmas Day. Instead of paying us on a normal rate of pay, which includes your shift allowance and stuff like that, he wants to pay you on your base rate, which basically means you're coming in here for your normal rate of pay on Christmas Day for 12 hours. It's ridiculous. This company just posted a 6-month profit of $222 million. 6 months profit. Last year it was $345 million for the year, and they want to take stuff off us. The senior executives gave themselves a 410% bonus rise from $4 million in bonuses to $14 million in bonuses last year.
Well, some people in the company are doing well.
It's not us.
It's a common story, isn't it? So can we just take a break on that for a second, and could you just tell me a little bit about what it is you do on the printing floor?
Well, I'm an electrician, so I help maintain all the equipment to make sure it's all running appropriately, and so we can get the paper out on time. So, I'm basically looking after the presses and the distribution equipment, anything to do with the paper delivery section.
What about you, Gary?
I'm a printer. I've been a printer for 37 years now. All over the world, basically, before I came here. So I run the printing presses, maintain them, keeping them running. If it gets really dodgy, that's when we call the sparkies and the fitters to come and fit things. But our job is we get paid to make sure them things keep running and make sure that the paper comes out looking good.
Quality, yeah.
Yeah, and what's happened since we've been locked out, the state of the newspaper and some of the advertising that they're putting out is absolutely disgusting. It's terrible. If we'd printed that, we'd have got sacked for that. But the people they've got in there, they've got some casuals in there, some people that just decided, ex-employees that are coming back to work just to get extra money while we're all standing out here. And the state of the paper that's going out, I mean, there is pictures all over the internet and everything like that of people's newspapers that don't even have any ink on the page. Advertising, full page advertisements and stuff. No ink on the page, nothing. But these people, they're not. I mean, we've been doing this, we're all tradesmen, we've been doing this for a long, long time. And now the state of the stuff that they're putting out there, it's shocking.
So as a novice, that was the big question I had. How do they actually run the business of printing newspapers without you guys there? But so you're saying they've brought in ex-staff or retired staff?
Yep.
Or?
Yeah, there's ex-staff, there's retired staff. There was staff that was sacked have came back to work shifts and stuff like that. They've just been pulling in people.
They've pulled out all stops to employ anyone they can to fill the gaps.
And then they're pulling people at their advertising section to come down and stack pallets. They're getting managers, they've got the health and safety women down stacking pallets under the canopy, pretty much using everybody to do absolutely anything.
So gentlemen, where are we right now? Are you guys just locked out? Is it permanent, or have you got any end in sight for this, or you just have no idea where you stand?
So we just voted down the third ballot and the result came in on that yesterday, and it was just over a 55% no vote. So this was the third time it's been voted down, because basically what they're putting it is rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish. So what we want to do is we just want to get these guys back in working again, getting paid, so we can then sit down and negotiate a decent deal for people. But no, we weren't even asking for a pay rise when this started. We said, just keep us on the conditions we're on, we'll be happy with that. But they just came in and just went, we want to take this and this off of you. And people just went, no, I'm not putting up with this. You know what I mean?
Okay, so in 2 years' time, with all the inflation that's going on and all the other things that are happening along with the economic hardships that we're experiencing with the COVID pandemic, you don't get a pay rise, but you also get a slashing of your benefits.
Conditions and stuff,
I think we've worked out to be a roughly about 20% reduction, isn't it, overall, with some of the things they were taking back off us.
And one of the other things that they did was during the whole COVID thing at the start through 2020, when it hit, we worked with the company. Within the space of a week, we worked with the company. We took a 6-hour-a-week cut in pay and conditions just to keep the company going because of everything that was going on at the very, very beginning. We got that organised through with all our members and everybody went, let's try and make this work because it's going to be difficult. Then we find out that Kerry Stokes got $45 million in JobKeeper. We were on that. It was a 17% cut in paying conditions for 11 months. Yeah. Well, he kept that $45 million in JobKeeper. Didn't give any of it to us.
No.
They had managers in there joking at toolbox meetings, and they were calling it revenue raiser. That's what they were calling JobKeeper. And that's their management calling it revenue raiser.
And it all stopped about a few days before the profit report came out on the ASX. That's when
all the jokes stopped.
No.
The cutting out the 17%.
Losing our 17 or 20% of our pay. That all stopped as soon as the profit margins were shown to be through the roof. So up to that point, we were actually using our annual leave and using whatever leave we could to supplement the loss. Yep. And then the profit margin came out and they said, oh, it's all off now, you can go back to normal hours.
The thing is, at the start of that, the company management said, we're going to do this, everybody's in this together, that old saying, everybody's in it together. Management and staff only took a cut in paying conditions for 3 months. They were back in full paying conditions by the July. It was the following February before we got back in full paying conditions.
Seems like any union members covered by the EBA was sort of targeted. That's what it felt like.
What we say is that the company had made all these hundreds of millions of dollars on the terms and conditions we were on. We weren't asking for anything else. We just wanted to keep what we were on. But they want to take more off us to make even more profit. That's just sheer corporate greed. That's all that is. Just sheer greed. So what we want to do is, because this manager in here, he doesn't want to negotiate. He doesn't know how to negotiate. He doesn't even want to sit down and talk to people. He sees himself as being above. So we want to go above and speak to his bosses. Mr. Warburton, Mr. Stokes, speak to them and say, let's negotiate properly like adults and let's get a good deal for your employees. A lot of them very, very long serving, some in the 30-year plus serving employees of this company. We just want a decent deal for them.
And
We're
we
not
want-
being greedy.
And we want to get back to work.
Yeah.
We just want to get back to work. We want a decent agreement and just back to work. That's all we're after. Like anyone else, we just want to get on with our lives.
So, last question from me. How often and for how long are you going to continue to gather out here on the front lawn of 7 West Media?
Every day. Every weekday, Monday to Friday, we're here.
One day longer, one day stronger.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So I'm here with Steve McCartney, State Secretary of the AMWU, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. State Secretary of the Australian Manufacturing Workers Union.
Steve, tell me a little bit about what's going on here today.
This dispute should be the dispute we shouldn't be having. To be perfectly honest, these guys have got this management team has got a mandate to get rid of the overheads from the company. But what they don't realise, for the last 40 years, they've had a redundancy in place because this is an ever-changing industry. You know, it went to better types of printing, more automated types of printing. There's always redundancies going through this industry. Now they don't even train printers anymore. There's no such thing as a printer trade anymore, right? So this is a dying industry. And the way he's kept it for retention is to make sure there's been a good redundancy at the back. So people are hanging in there, because when it does close down, they're going to be able to retire decently, or they're going to have enough money to retrain themselves so they can get a new job. And what the company's doing now, because it's starting to be under more pressure, this industry, he's saying, well, I want the safety net back now. So what these families have been relying on for the last 40 years for their own security is now getting taken off us by one of the richest people in Western Australia. It's an absolute disgrace. We're calling for a mature management team to come in here and negotiate in good faith. Because what we've got now, it seems to us like a bunch of amateurs that are running around with a mandate to get rid of our redundancy and to cut wages and conditions when a company is making millions of dollars profit.
So Steve, how did it end up like this?
It ended up like this. We sort of figured it was going to end up this way because for the whole time that it was getting put up for the vote, or whether or not we wanted to agree to their agreement, which was going to slash wages and conditions, the whole time they were having meetings with our blokes on the ground with 2 or 3 lawyers trying to convince them that they should be voting yes. So there's been a lot of pressure on the yes vote by the company. We run a flat bat. We just told the guys what was on and what was not, let them make their own mind up, have a bit of democracy. When they voted no, all the week before, they were saying, if you vote no, we're going to lock you out straight away. And sure enough, when they got the no vote up, they were locked out straight away. They've been locked out for nearly 40 days now. They've been trying to make them vote it up. They've been using other labour inside that's incompetent labour. They're using the management team out there being provocative. What we're saying is we want to talk to the board or the CEO to get round the table so we can negotiate in good faith. If the CEO wants to perform the same way as this general manager is, then we know that it's Kerry Stokes' deal.
And Steve, what about legal action? Where are you guys with that, or is it just status quo at the moment?
The disappointing part about the legislation that we all work under is this is legal. What they're doing to us is absolutely legal, and it's a disgrace. We had a 4-hour shutdown, right, and they answered it with a 40-day lockout. And we're locked out, and we will be locked out until we say yes. So until we give our safety net back, they're going to lock these workers out. And what we'll be doing is talking to their customers, the people that use them in the newspaper to advertise their companies. We're going to the 7 group companies next week. We're going to the Parliament House next week because we're going to be talking to everybody about what's going on here. We're going to be warning people that work for the 7 group. This is the same board that made the decision to take the money off these guys, to steal the money off these guys out of their wages and conditions. And what we're going to be quite clearly doing is warning those workers and other members of the Channel 7 group in Western Australia that this is the same board that did it to them, did it to our people. I'm sure they're going to do it to you as well. Ask your manager, is there redundancy in wages and conditions safe? We'll be out here until the workers get some democracy, until they get their rights back, until they get treated like human beings. If we can't get the management team, the upper management team out here to do the job, and we can't get Basil Zemplis to support us on this, being the Mayor of Perth, he's got to make his decision. Is he the Mayor of Perth and does he look after the people of Perth, or is he the boy for Channel 7? If he's Channel 7's boy, then he should stay Channel 7's boy and leave that job.
As you can imagine, it's only a matter of time before we're censored off YouTube. So if you could please go over to Rumble and follow us there as well, that'd be amazing. Also, if you liked our content, please consider supporting us at buymeacoffee.com/Bellman Report. With just $2 per month, you have no idea how much that'll go towards keeping us afloat. Thank you, and I hope you liked the video.